Sidney Poitier reshaped Hollywood from the inside, and then, quietly, he told the world exactly who he admired most. What nobody expected was who made the list. Number 6. Marlon Brando. Imagine being the actor other actors study in secret. Not the one they admit to, the one they re-watch alone, trying to understand how he does it.
You remember that? This ain't your night. My night, I could have taken Wilson apart.
Marlon Brando does not perform a role. He inhabits it so completely that the camera seems almost embarrassed to be watching. His work in A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather does not feel like acting, it feels like eavesdropping. Poitier recognized something rare in Brando, a man who broke every convention Hollywood had built and made it look effortless. Where others hit their marks, Brando moved like the marks did not exist. Brando won the Academy Award for Best Actor twice, for The Godfather in 1973 and On the Waterfront in 1955. Two performances that still define what screen acting can be. What most people forget is what Brando did between those peaks. He took risks with no commercial logic, chose roles that confused studios and unsettled audiences. He was not building a career, he was testing limits, his own mostly. The method had existed before Brando, but he made it visible in a way no classroom ever could. Lee Strasberg taught it. Brando proved it. There is a difference between a theory and a demonstration, and Brando was the demonstration.
A direct correlation between the two. I think they are identically congruent.
He once said, "An actor is at most a poet, and at least an entertainer." That tension between art and audience sat at the heart of everything Brando ever did. Poitier understood that tension intimately. He had spent his own career walking a similar wire: serious artist, box office draw, symbol, human being. In Brando, he saw someone who never resolved that tension. He just leaned into it every time.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been puzzling for a means to take the strut out of you.
2 Oscars are impressive. Permanently changing the vocabulary of screen acting is something else entirely. When the greatest actor of his generation points to you and says you are the one, that is not a compliment, that is a verdict. Number 5. Katharine Hepburn. There is a version of Hollywood history where the rules were different for women. Smaller roles, softer edges, less room to be difficult, demanding, or impossible to ignore. Katharine Hepburn never read that version. She arrived in the 1930s with a certainty so absolute that the industry spent years trying to push back, and failed. Audiences voted her box office poison in 1938. She responded by buying the rights to the Philadelphia story, producing it herself, and winning back every room she had lost.
Joe, you look splendid.
Well, I feel perfectly miserable with 19 hairpins all sticking straight into my head.
She holds the record for Academy Award wins for Best Actress, 4 Oscars across 5 decades. No one else is close. Not then. Not now. Poitier saw in Hepburn something he understood personally: the refusal to shrink. The insistence that talent, not permission, sets the terms. What made Hepburn so difficult to manage was also what made her impossible to dismiss. She was independent when independence in women was treated as a liability. She wore trousers on studio lots when that was considered scandalous. She said what she thought to people accustomed to being agreed with.
The same unwritten law that got Lenahan off.
Would you
I know what you're going to say. That he should have been convicted too, but he wasn't.
Her partnership with Spencer Tracy produced 9 films across more than 2 decades. The chemistry was real. The craft was disciplined. The results were undeniable. She once said, "If you always do what interests you, at least one person is pleased." That line sounds light. It is not. It is a complete philosophy. Radical, self-possessed, and entirely consistent with how she lived her professional life. Poitier admired people who knew exactly who they were. Hepburn never had any doubt. She did not wait for Hollywood to make space. She took it, and then she held it for 50 years. Number 4. Spencer Tracy. Some actors announce themselves. Every entrance is an event. Every line lands like a proclamation.
Yes, you did. I can tell. I know your touch. I know a slap from a slug.
Well, okay.
I'm not so sure it is. I'm not.
Spencer Tracy does the opposite. and it is devastating. He strips everything back until there is nothing left to see except the truth of the moment. Directors noticed it, co-stars noticed it, they just could not explain how he did it. Tracy won back-to-back Academy Awards for Best Actor for Captains Courageous in 1938 and Boys Town in 1939. No male actor had done it before. He made it look so quiet that some people almost missed what they were witnessing.
No matter what her mother and I might feel about it. Then the next rather startling development occurred.
Humphrey Bogart once called Tracy the best actor in Hollywood. Katharine Hepburn said his genius was his absolute refusal to perform. He simply was. The camera caught it. That sounds simple. It is the hardest thing in the world to do. Most actors spend entire careers learning to do less and never quite get there. Tracy seemed to arrive already knowing. He once said, "Know your lines and don't bump into the furniture." It sounded like a joke. It was not. It was a complete theory of acting, economy, presence, preparation, nothing wasted. Poitier and Tracy shared the screen in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner in 1967, one of the most scrutinized films in American cinema history. The subject matter was incendiary. The performances were immaculate.
Don't you want your rub down?
Tracy died just 17 days after principal photography wrapped. The film became his final performance, a masterclass in making complexity look like simplicity. Poitier did not just admire Tracy from a distance, he watched him work, and what he saw never left him. Number 3. Bette Davis. Here is what nobody talks about when they talk about Bette Davis. The ferocity was not a performance choice, it was a survival strategy.
The kid, Junior that is, will be down in a minute unless you'd like to take her drink up to her.
Davis arrived when studios owned their actors the way companies own patents. You worked when they said work, played the parts they assigned, and were grateful. Davis sued Warner Brothers in 1936 to break her contract. She lost the case and won the argument. The industry never fully controlled her again. She received 10 Academy Award nominations for Best Actress, a record at the time. She won twice, for Dangerous in 1936 and Jezebel in 1939.
I put on this white dress for you, to help me tell you how humbly I ask you to forgive me.
10 nominations means 10 performances the industry, even when it resisted her, could not ignore. You do not accumulate that kind of recognition through luck or charm, you accumulate it through relentless, uncompromising work. Davis approached every role as though the entire project depended on her choices, because in her view it did. She researched, argued, and pushed directors until they matched her level or got out of the way. Most got out of the way.
I'm stuck with either Sweet 16 or Kids of 65. You must have known it the day you...
Poitier understood that fight personally. He had navigated his own battles with a system built to limit him. In Davis, he saw a performer who weaponized her talent against every wall the industry tried to build. She once said, "I survived because I was tougher than anybody else." Poitier knew exactly what that toughness costs, and what it produces. That toughness is not hardness, it is the thing that keeps you in the room when the room does not want you there. Davis stayed in the room. She rearranged the furniture.
I know that he hasn't the kind of ambition we're brought up to expect in a man. I know he's irresponsible and restless.
A fighter, a craftsperson, and, by Sidney Poitier's own reckoning, one of the finest to ever step in front of a camera. Number 2, Audrey Hepburn. There are performers who are famous, there are performers who are iconic, and then there is a smaller, stranger category, performers who become a feeling.
Wherever you're going, I'm going.
Audrey Hepburn belongs to that third group. From her breakthrough in Roman Holiday in 1953, which earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress, she did not just play characters. She made audiences believe in a world slightly more graceful than the one they lived in. She won the Oscar, the Tony, the Emmy, and the Grammy, one of only a handful of performers to achieve an EGOT. She also became a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, dedicating years to humanitarian work across Africa, South America, and Asia.
Audrey's time away for UNICEF was often extremely difficult for her.
What is easy to overlook is the discipline underneath the grace. Hepburn was a trained dancer before she was an actress. That training gave her something most performers lack, an understanding of the body as an instrument of precision. Every gesture was considered, nothing was accidental. Poitier saw in her the ability to carry enormous emotional weight while appearing completely unencumbered. Her stillness was not absence, it was discipline. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Sabrina, My Fair Lady, Roman Holiday, a body of work built on restraint and precision, on the radical idea that less, done perfectly, is more than enough.
Have none of those.
She once said, "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible." In her case, it was a biography. She rebuilt her life after a childhood marked by war, poverty, and loss, and then gave generously to children facing the same hardships she had survived. Poitier valued wholeness in a person, the idea that who you are off-screen matters as much as what you do on it. Hepburn was the same person in both places.
Her dying wish was that the suffering would end in Somalia.
The cameras loved her, the audiences never stopped, and Sidney Poitier, who understood screen presence at a cellular level, recognized exactly why. Number 1. Paul Newman. This is the one that lands differently. Not because it is surprising, but because of what it reveals about what Sidney Poitier valued most in another performer.
You look mighty young there, Miss Clara, all curled up in your bed.
Paul Newman had everything the industry prizes. Looks that made casting directors stop mid-sentence. Charisma that arrived before he did. A smile that should have been enough on its own. He buried all of it in the work, deliberately, methodically. He wanted the character, not the star. He wanted you watching the scene, not watching Paul Newman.
Or the trappings of the court.
The results were staggering. The Hustler, Hud, Cool Hand Luke, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Verdict, The Color of Money, a career so deep that each decade produced a performance that reset the standard. 10 Academy Award nominations. Best Actor for The Color of Money in 1987. But here is what nobody discusses. Newman was also one of the great humanitarians of his generation. Newman's own, the food company he founded in 1982, has donated over $600 million to charity. Not for the press, not for the profile, quietly, persistently, year after year.
Genius. It's just exactly what Hudsucker industry needs at this time.
The hole-in-the-wall gang camp, which Newman founded for children with serious illnesses, has served hundreds of thousands of children since 1988. He never used it as a platform. He never asked for credit. He simply built something and kept building it. Poitier once said the quality he valued most in a person was integrity, the alignment between what someone believes and how they actually live. Newman lived that alignment in his art and outside of it. Newman once said, "I picture my epitaph. Here lies Paul Newman, who died a failure because his eyes turned brown," self-deprecating to the end, ruthlessly talented underneath it, a man who could have coasted on magnetism alone and instead spent 5 decades proving it was the least interesting thing about him.
You're an unprincipled man, Hud.
6 names, 6 careers, each chosen by a man who had spent a lifetime earning the right to judge and who still chose to celebrate rather than compete. That, more than any single film, tells you everything you need to know about Sidney Poitier. 6 names, 6 verdicts, not opinions, verdicts from a man who spent his entire career earning the right to give them. Brando rewrote the rules of screen acting. Hepburn refused to disappear when Hollywood told her to. Each name on this list represents something specific, a quality Poitier recognized because he had lived close to it himself. Poitier was not ranking talent. He was mapping the qualities he respected most: defiance, precision, fearlessness, the refusal to be diminished. Every actor he named carried at least one of those things to an extreme. He had spent his own career doing exactly the same. So when Poitier named the people who moved him most, he was also, in a quiet way, describing himself. The man who broke more barriers than almost anyone in Hollywood history looked at the full breadth of the craft and chose 6, not 100. not a generation. 6. That kind of precision is its own statement. If this list surprised you, or one of these names hit differently than you expected, drop it in the comments. And if you want more stories like this one, subscribe. Sidney Poitier did not name favorites lightly, neither should we.